You're listening to the UKC Hunting Ops Podcast, celebrating hunting dog heritage, competition, and community. United Kennel Club has been the hunting dog sports home for coonhounds, beagles, retrievers, pointers, cur, feist, and more for over 125 years.
All right, let's shift gears now. We'll take a look at Billy Coleman's favorite breed of dogs, the Redbone Coonhounds. No, but we're continuing our run here through our series of top reproducers, and again, we're looking at dogs here. When we're looking at these top lists, there's no parameters. The only thing that we're worried about is how many champion or hunt champion dogs did they produce. Doesn't matter how long ago, how many pups they had on the ground. None of that matters here. Just the top ever performers as far as producing hunt champion dogs. And our number one Redbone is Dual Grand Keys Outlaw Razor Red. Razor Red was born in May of 1997 and bred by Travis Thomas out of a cross between Thomas's Missouri Bruiser and Markham's Red Kentucky Molly. Just a couple PR dogs there. Last owned by Rob and Katina Childers of West Alexandria, Ohio. He put 364 pups on the ground. 58 of them made hunt champions, and his last litter was in May of 2019, so it must have been that they did some insemination there as well.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. I know they did, matter of fact. But yeah, 58. That's the number that's the top number to reach here in this breed. Second overall is a dog I'm familiar with, Ficken's Deepwoods Rocky. He's a Grand Night champion, born in August of 2007, bred by Richard Thomas, and he is off a dual Grand Champion T-Top Rabble Rouser. Those are a line of dogs up out of Wisconsin. And Grand Night Champion Thomas's Midnight Music was his mother, last owned by Randy Ficken of House Springs, Missouri. We'll recognize the name Randy Ficken here. He was in the World Hunt this last year with, I guess we'll just say it, or with a Walker dog this last year.
Yeah, I was going to say, not a Rocky pup.
So this is why I was teasing him, kind of egging him on at the World Hunt this last year. I said, you're a Redbone man, but here we see it already. 216 total pups for Rocky. 43 of them are titled up. Last litter was registered not so long ago in April of 2020.
Yeah, there we go. Well, we're going to go from a couple of dogs who had litters here in the past 5 or 6 years to one who it's been a while. In third place here, Grand Night Champion Hayes Ramblin' Red Ace. Ace was born in July of 1974 out of a cross between Night Champion Baker's Rip and Maddox's Daisy May. And he was last owned by actually the breeder of Razor Red up there, Travis Thomas and Ether Smith. Looks like they're from Mount Hermon, Kentucky. Of Ace's pups, he put 256 on the ground, and 31 of them made hunt champions. So good resume there for Ace.
Yeah, I was always kind of a history buff and looking into the Redbone breed and this and that. And Hayes' Ramblin' Red Ace was always a name that always kind of stood out to me for whatever reason, you know. Always like to read about the stories you read about him, this and that, see where they won and all this. Fourth overall, Grand Night Champion, Grand Champion Outlaw Billy the Kid. He was born in March of 1991, bred by the late Teresa Key of Wisconsin, and he was off of a dual Grand Amos's Burning Ben, and his mother was Grand Night Champion Keys Outlaw Jessie. This dog was last owned by Mr. Roy Jeffries of Otterville, Missouri. Sired 597 total pups on record, 30 of which are hunt champions. Last litter was registered in 2021. I remember the ads of Billy the Kid. I always thought he was a good-looking hound. As a matter of fact, I drove over to Missouri to Roy Jeffries' house there and picked up a puppy off of him one time.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so Outlaw Billy the Kid. Big name in the breed.
A lot of them here have recent litters on the ground. That's interesting to me. Fifth place here, Grand Night Champion, the Red Rocker. He was born in April of 2007. Bred by David Gallagher and Todd Mathewson, and he was out of Dual Grand Steps Little Pepper and Grand Night Champion Nighty Night Moonlight Kate, last owned by Brian Genuine of House Springs, Missouri. 220 pups on the ground, 28 hunt champions, and again, July 2021, last litter on the ground, so we got some 3.5-year-old dogs out there, 4-year-old dogs.
Yep, never hunted with the Red Rocker, but his daddy Steps Little Pepper, I still feel like he was one of the most, just a good, balanced dog. I always liked that dog. And the mother there, Nighty Night Moonlight Kate, I'm sure we're going to be talking about her several times as you go down through here, but one of the top females ever in the breed, I'd say. Moving on, tied for sixth, you have several here with 26 hunt champions to their resume. Here's one, Grand Night Champion Hunter's Timber Chopper. Now, this dog goes way back, 1963. Breeder is unknown here. here, and I have a good idea. I think I know, but I'm not going to say if I don't know for sure here. Off of Night Champion Hunter's True 2 and Grand's Belmont Queen was last owned by M.H. Hunter here. You have a Richmond, Virginia. That's probably Max Hunter, I'm assuming, is going to be who that is. 431 pups, 26 of them were titled. Now, I know Hunter's Timber Chopper, they called him TC. He was, they say he was very impressive back in the day, but, we're talking the early 60s here. And those were during the times when things were just a whole lot different, but a lot of 431 pups, that's a lot for back in those days, but a lot of guys carried their females to old TC for good reason.
No doubt. You got to think the hunts really began in 57, 58, and there weren't very many. And this dog born in 1963 to have that Grand Night Champion title, that holds a lot of weight in my mind, anyways.
Yep.
Another one tied for sixth here, and this is Night Champion Miller's Valley, or what? Valley Woodpecker, born in March of 1971, so not far after that, out of Goodacre, Punjab, and Night Champion Spurs Red Fanny, a dog that was owned by Milton Strain of Jackson, Tennessee. Woodpecker had 816 pups on the ground, so a good bit of pups. 26 of them were able to achieve a hunt title.
Yep, another huge name in the Walker breed. Grand Night Champion Milton's Red Fireball here is another one with 26 hunt champions. Born in August of 1980, bred by J.D. Millsap, was off of Milton's Big Red, and Millsap's Red Susie was last owned by Joe Milton of Portland, Indiana. 924 pups to his resume, talking about Red Fireball, 26 hunt champion. Last litter that we show registered was in 1990 for old Fireball.
Portland will be there in September to crown a world champion.
Every time when we go to Autumn Oaks or any of those places, when you see go past Highway 26, I think of old Joe Melton there and wonder if those Fireball dogs hunted this woods or that woods and all that.
Awesome.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome to think about.
Yeah, he lived right there just off of 26.
To round out our list here, we have a couple tied for 9th place. The first one here is Dual Grand Brunswick Little Man, a dog that was born back in March of 1980 and bred by James Witten. He was out of Brunswick Axel and Keff's Red Jill, and last owned by Carol Williamson and James Butler over in Nichols, South Carolina. Little Man had 854 pups on the ground, with 25 achieving a hunt title. Last litter back in 1992.
Yeah, that's the dog I remember. You always heard a lot about Brunswick Little Man. Also tied with 9th was Hoffmeister's Rusty Red, another big name. Grand Night Champion, born in August of 1988, bred by Larry Turpin. He was off of a dog named Go Man Sam, and Mahogany Sweet Lulu was his mama. Owned by the legend Harold Hoffmeister over in Rolla, Missouri. 511 pups off of old Rusty Red, and 25 of them are hunt champions. Last litter was registered in 2010.
And rounding our list here, tied for 9th, is Dual Grand T-Top Rabble Rouser. Seen that name already? Born in November of 1998 and bred by Dave Patzner. The dog was out of T-Top, Tree Talkin' Red Rat, and Grand Night Champion, Grand Champion T-Top Rockin' Red Raven, and last owned by Tom Solberg and Dave Patzner. Looks like Tom may be out of Arcadia, Wisconsin. Have 190 pups on the ground, and 25 of them made hunt champions, so pretty impressive there. Last litter back in 2008.
Yeah, I think the last time I hunted with old Rabble Rouser was in over in Iowa with one of your field reps, old Tim. Yeah,
okay.
Tim was. I don't know. I think Tim was guiding us that night, but yeah, it was. I think Dave was maybe handling the dog. I think, but yeah, Rabble Rouser was a nice dog, and you sure see him in a lot of pedigrees today still. So that's quite an impressive list there for the Redbone breed, but. Yeah, and you know what? A lot of the dogs here, really, if you go back, most of them, you don't see very many of the modern dogs or modern era dogs on here, but it's kind of cool to see a lot of these old dogs on here. But, yeah, it'd be cool to see if something else might be close here to get on this list. We're talking about 25 hunt champions to break that barrier.
Yeah, and let's see if there's any. If we have any prospects coming up, we'll look at the top males of this past year, just based on how many hunt champions they produced in 2024. And the number one Redbone male was Grand Night Champion 3, All Grand Outlaw G-Man, a dog born in April of 2013 out of Dual Grand Glisson's Outlaw Jesse James Jr. and Grand Night Champion Outlaw Billy Jean, owned by Alan Halada, Tony Dominguez, and Shane Maxey. Allen over in he's over in California. He had 3 pups. I made a hunt titles this year out of G-Man, making 12 total for G-Man. Got to see him in the Final Four of Autumn Oaks a few years ago, and he was old then, and he did a good job. You could tell he had a lot of heart.
Yep. Allen is he's a veterinarian over there, and anytime you see entries out of California, it's usually because of Alan Halada. Tied for second here with 2 pups this year. The first one here, Dual Grand Redwood Radical Racket. He was off of Redwood's Dynamite Dan, is also a Grand Night champion, and then the mother was Redwood's Burning Cricket. Gene Cookston and Kevin Travis out of Hebron, Indiana. 2 puppies titled this last year, and now brings his total to 3 total.
Yeah, also with 2 this year and 2 total is Grand Night Champion Indiana's Freak Shot. This is a September 2018 model, so still fairly young. Out of Grand Night Champion Taylor's Turbo and Night Champion Fish Creek's She's a Freak, owned by Michael Rollins, Alan Halada, and Tony Dominguez. Mike is out of Newberry, Indiana.
And then Wade's Gas Monkey, she's a night champion, was born in 2021. She's off of Genuine and Peel's Dr. Feelgood. He's a Grand Night. And then another Grand Night, Dual Grand mother, Wade's Red Bush HTX. This dog is owned by Wade Coons out of Lewistown, Pennsylvania. He had 2 pups to title this last year, and those will be his first 2 on his resume. And then you also have 31 tied for 5th with at least 1 titled dog. So that's probably 2 more than we want to go through and list. We're gonna
Some quick math here tells me that makes 40 Redbones that at least made the night champion title this year.
There you go. Yeah.
Before we get into our top females here, I'm just going to preface it by saying I think you're going to like this list. We've talked about several of these dogs before, and I think it's a pretty good representation of the Redbone breed. First place here is going to be Grand Night Champion Triple B Ragged Ridge Toady, a dog that was born back in October of 2007, bred by Brent and Colt Posey. And Toady was out of Dual Grand Ragged Ridge CD and Night Champion Posey's Ragged Ridge Katydid. Last owned by Keith Bowling of Osgood, Indiana. Toady had 42 pups on the ground. 19 of them made hunt champion. Last litter in 2018, so probably got some 6-7-year-old dogs running around out there.
Yeah, and that was a good female. Probably, in the mid-2000s or 2010-ish, 12, 13, somewhere in there, I got to hunt with Toady. And at that time, she was probably the most independent Redbone female that I have ever hunted with. Just was not going to really be with anything else, and I that's one thing that could kind of stood out to me that night, and she did a nice job, just very independent. Second overall, Moonlight Pepper Ann. She was a Dual Grand Night champion that was bred by David Gallagher and owned by Johnny Biggert out of Great Town, Ohio. She was born in January of 2003 and off of, here again, Steps Little Pepper, a dog I mentioned a little while ago, another very consistent, balanced, I called him, dog that I really liked. And off of that female, Nighty Night Moonlight Kate. But Pepper Ann was just, she was probably, maybe seemed like she might have even been a little better reproducer than her mama was, but 18 hunt champions, 56 pups, 18 hunt champions. Last litter was registered in 2014. Pepper Ann's a big name in the Redbone female.
Well, Pepper Ann, you compared her to her mom there, and here in third place is her mom. Grand Night Champion Nighty Night Moonlight Kate comes in third. She was born back in September of 1998 and was bred by Brad Messersmith and Scott Grove, and was out of Grand Night Champion Reed's Saline River Rat and Grand Night Champion Wapsie River Cookie, last owned by Dan Biggert and David Gallagher. And Kate, she had less pups here, 29 pups, but 15 of them made hunt champions for a pretty good percentage there. Last litter was in 2010.
Yep, Danny Biggert used to hunt a whole lot. He'd be the guy to wear his hat backwards when it wasn't cool yet.
There we go. Set the trend.
Maybe
Ken Griffey of coon hunting.
There you go. But he hunted Kate probably as much as anybody did, and I remember the one thing always stuck to me with those boys there was a kind of a team of them had several dogs that they would hunt, 5 or 6 of them or whatever, and he got old Kate qualified early. I remember he told me this story. He said he got Kate qualified early. And the other guys wanted him to hunt this dog and that dog, and he's like, why do you even want to bother hunting that? Kate's the best dog we got. Why are you gonna bother qualifying the rest of them? And she went and proved it. I want to say she finished like 11th or 12th that year in the world hunt. So
he knew.
he knew. 4th overall. Here we see that Kentucky Moonlight Brianna, Grand Night champion, born in March of 2009, bred by Danny Biggert. Out of Grand Night champion, Grand Champion Moonlight Big Time Bow, and Grand Champion Moonlight Deanna, last owned by Shane Maxey and Danny Biggert of Marion, Indiana. That would have been Shane Maxey's address. 31 pups off of Brianna, and 13 hunt champions. Last litter was registered in 2016. Moonlight Big Time Bow was a dog that my brother actually had down there at his place for a while and hunted him, and I actually hunted him in a couple hunts as well. And Moonlight Deanna, the mother there, she was a little dog, and I loved that little dog right there.
Right.
Absolutely loved it. Just one of kind of reminded me a little bit of that Harold's Miss T dog.
Yeah.
Just little and fast, just a solid dog. Yeah.
So.
Paul had her down there too for a while, and we hunted her and I really liked that bitch.
We've got a couple here tied for 5th. First one would be Night Champion PTL Mommy's Bimby. Born in June of 2008 and bred by Danny Ray Short. Bimby was out of Grand Night Champion Montana Red Mountain Ranger and Yellow River Fiddle 2. Last owned by William Rodman of Springfield, Illinois. Bimby put 40 pups on the ground, 12 of which made hunt champion, including one this past year. And her last litter was 2018. So, again, got some 6 or 7-year-old dogs running around out there somewhere.
Yeah, her sire there, Red Mountain Ranger, or what, we had him up here in Michigan. Paul had him, too, for a little while and hunted him a little bit. But there was another just solid, balanced dog. Your buddy there in Tennessee, the long-haired guy.
Richard?
Richard, I think he hunted him for a while as well. But tied for 5th, Hayes Ramblin' Red Kate. We mentioned Hayes Ramblin' Red Ace. He's one, and along that same time, you'd read about Red Kate, too. So it was always Ace and Kate is what, I don't know why it was those two names, but here she is, tied for 5th overall. She was born in December of 1976 and was off of Hayes' Ramblin' Buck and Peck's Red Babe. Had 39 pups total, 12 hunt champions. Last litter was registered in 1985. Hayes' Ramblin' Red Kate.
Couple of Ramblin' Red dogs up there on the top 10s.
Mm-hmm.
Next one here, actually, it looks like we got a couple here tied for 7th. We got Dual Grand T-Top Rockin' Red Raven. This dog was born in March of 1997 and bred by Bob Morietta out of Hoffmeister's Red Bomber and Grand Night Champion Morietta's Tree Ringin' Red Bell. Last owned by Dave Patzner of Arcadia, Wisconsin. 43 pups, 11 hunt champions. Last litter was in 2005. So kind of seeing a lot of these same kennel names and last names on a lot of these dogs.
Yep. Bomber, I think he was off a Rusty Red, and then that Tree Ringin' Red Bell, the mother to Raven, she won a lot too. But yeah. Next up, tied for 7th here again, Jones's Yellow River Red Chili, bred by Jeff Murphy and Harry O'Meadian. Remember Jeff Murphy from the World Hunt this last year? Yep. Harry O'Meadian's up here in Michigan. Born in May of 2006 off of Night Champion Mill Creek's Yellow River Dan. That was one of Jeff's dogs that he had. And Mill Creek's Dancing Red Bailey, also dog owned by Jeff, probably one of his better females he ever had. Was last owned by Harry O'Meadian of Howell, Michigan. 28 pups, 11 of them were champions. Chili.
Then we got a couple here tied for 9th to round out our top Redbone females. First one will be Grand Night Champion Van's Red Oak Dot. A dog born in July of 2008 and bred by Spencer Glisson out of Grand Night Champion Malley's Southern Red Colonel and Grand Night Champion Feldman's Red Oak Billy. last owner, here we are, the tree and walker man, Randy Ficken of House Springs, Missouri. Dot had 32 pups, and 10 of them made hunt champion, with the last litter being in 2017.
Yep, Dot was the real deal as well there. Also tied for 9th Grand Night champion, L's Dark Timber Wendy. You've probably, you may have hunted with this dog. Comes from your area there. Born in October of 2011, bred by Wendell Bond. Have you ever heard of that guy?
I know Wendell.
Yeah, Virginia. One of our field reps.
One of our trusty field reps.
Out of Grand Night champion, Grand champion, Soggy Bottom, T-Top, Midnight Haze, HTX, and the mother was a Grand Field champion, Grand Night, Grand champion, Red River, or River Ridge Red Willow, which Willow was the dog that Wendell had owned, and I think the first Redbone he ever owned. He was kind of a walker guy, but he got this Willow dog, and he liked her. So Wendy is off of Willow, last owned by, there he is, Mr. Richard Lambert and Cecil Ratliff of Birchwood, Tennessee. 56 pups off of Wendy. 10 of them are hunt champions. Last litter was registered in 2017.
And now we'll shift gears and take a look at some of our top Redbone females of the past year, see who had some titled pups this past year. We're going to start out here with first, actually all tied for first here with 2 each. Night champion L's Rowdy Rhonda. This dog was born in April of 2015 out of Dual Grand Pigeon River Big Red Jim, and Grand Night champion L's Dark Timber Wendy, who you just got done talking about. And this dog, again, owned by Mr. Richard Lambert of Birchwood, Tennessee. Sounds like he had some good females over the years.
Yep.
2 pups this year and 4 total for Rhonda.
Yep. Her sire, Red Jim, I actually had him up here, and Paul had him too there. That's one of, I loved that dog too, just a solid. He was just he hunted like a walker dog. I loved that dog. Grand Night champion Feldman's Red Roxy is off of a dog we mentioned here earlier, about the second dog, I think, on our list of the sires, Ficken's Deepwoods Rocky, and the mother was Grand Night champion Williams Brushy Creek Daisy, Kevin and Katie Travis, Hebron, Indiana. 2 pups titled this last year, and now giving her a total of 3 titled offspring.
And then our last one here, tied for first this past year with 2 pups titled, making 3 total for this hound, is Grand Field, Grand Water, Grand Champion, Grand Night Champion, L's Bella HTX. Dog born in March of 2016 out of Dual Grand Pigeon River Big Red Jim. So there's Jim again, and this different Dark Timber female this time, though. Grand Night Champion Wilma this time. Owned currently by Shannon Smith of Crawfordville, Florida. So that kind of rounds out our top females of this past year. Again, we got 36 tied for fourth with 1 each.
Yeah, and for me, that was kind of always my breed of choice or whatever, but it is pretty cool for me to see this list, and so hopefully the listeners will also enjoy this when it comes to one of their favorite breeds, and kind of listen and see where those the sires all stack up and the females all stack up, and be it historic or ever, I guess you should say, and then more recent or whatever. So hey, congratulations to everybody that's on there. It's pretty cool.
Let's take a look here at our Plott hounds, and we'll start out with our top males ever. And the first one will be our one and only world champion Plott, and that's world night champion, Grand Night champion Kansas Sizzlin' Heat. Makes sense that he would lead this list. He was born in May of 1983 and was bred by Jim Cannon and Ross Girk, out of a cross between Grand Night champion Cannon's Kansas Joe Boy and Grand Night champion Short Ridge's Queen. Won't be the last time we hear about her. Last owned in our records by Ronald Schweinfuss. He put 589 pups on the ground, and 19 of them made hunt champions. His last litter was back in November of 1993. Really, really impressive numbers here for Heat, and just a great career hunting-wise and reproduction-wise.
Yep, and still the only Plott hound on record to win the UKC World Championship. Hey, again, just to reiterate to our listeners here, when we say top males ever, we're just going by the most titled pups, period. Nothing else, no other criteria. Second on our list, Grand Night champion, Grand Champion Blowers Redwood Okie. He was born in June of 2000, bred by Jeffrey Coons and Brad Kearns. He is off of a dog named Coons Redwood Tango, and the mother is Coons' Redwood Fur-Makin' Maggie. Last owned by Jeff Coons of Gloucester, Ohio. 127 puppies, 18 are titled. Last litter was registered in 2009. Blowers Redwood Okie.
Really good percentage there. You don't really see that. A lot of people use Plotts for big game, which is going to skew these numbers some. Okie here, really impressive percentage. Got their hands on a lot of coon hunters, looks like.
Yep.
Got several dogs here tied for third place. First one is night champion, grand champion Brandenburger's P Slim. And some of these Plott dogs are kind of reached back into our history here a little bit. Slim was born in October of 1967. Being a night champion then, I'm assuming that it was pretty tough. Probably did some traveling and probably won a high percentage of the casts he was put in. Slim is out of Smith's Tiger Sam and Templin's Kate. And the last owner on record is Mr. Dale Brandenburger of Millstadt, Illinois. Slim had 779 pups on the ground, and 16 of them made hunt champions.
Yeah, back in his day, the hunts, I'm sure, looked quite a bit different than they do now.
I guarantee it.
And I'd say it's probably fair to guess. You could probably bet Dale Brandenburger's probably the breeder on that dog. Also tied for third here, Grand Night champion Brammer's Timberline Tack, born in 1973, so not that long after the P Slim. This also, it doesn't show the breeder here. Out of night champion Jeffrey's Timberline Rowdy and Jeffrey's TL Trixie, was last owned by Freeman Brammer of Newcastle, Ohio. 242 pups total, 16 hunt champions, and I guess we don't have a record of when the last litter was registered on this dog.
No dates on there.
No dates.
I didn't go digging.
You did. I was going to say, in our basement at United Kennel Club, we have files and files and files where you go dig up all those pre-'80s dogs, you know. Yeah. So it's some of those records are pretty cool to look through, too.
Like I said, I'm a part-timer. I didn't go digging for this, but we still got some good information here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also tied for third is Grand Night champion Garrison's Brindled Ranger. Ranger was born in September of 1990 and bred by Junior Marriott on a cross night champion Dirty Eric and night champion Locust Creek Dixie. Last owned by buddy James Garrison, Rayville, Missouri. I know he's kind of been down and out. He made a post not getting to hunt this year. I hope I'm getting to hunt any when I'm up there like he is. He's got a love for the sport that's unmatched by a lot of people. Ranger, 234 pups, 16 of them hunt champions. Last litter back in June of 2002, so it's been a little bit.
There you go. All right, next dog, Grand Night champion, Grand Champion Burnett's Rooster. Born in March of 2007, bred by Mr. Joe Pride. He's off of Grand Night Champion Pride's JR, and Sing It again, Hannah was his mother. Last owned by Larry Brown of Purdy, Missouri. 126 pups total, 15 hunt champions, one of which just titled this last year, I believe. But yeah, last litter was registered in 2019.
Got some 6-year-old hands running around out there.
Burnett's Rooster.
Let's see, also tied for 6th place, we have Grand Night champion Seibert and Otto Sarge, another one born back in January of 1984. Bred again by Ross Girk here. Again, out of Cannons, Kansas, Joe Boy, and Grand Night champion Short Ridge's Queen. So we're talking about at least a brother of Sizzling Heat up there. Last owned by Charles May and Larry Everson of Terre Haute, Indiana. 218 pups on the ground, and of those, 15 of them made hunt champion. Another good percentage there. Last litter back in 1994.
8th place overall. The only other world champion that I know of won the PKC World Champion, R&R's Buckeye Bud. Born in October of 1996, bred by Bud Ramsey off of night champion Buckeye Sarge III, and the mother was night champion Ramsey's Brindle Cricket. Was last owned by John Walkup of Victor, West Virginia. 181 pups, 14 hunt champions for Buckeye Bud. Last litter was registered in 2010.
Good to see Bud Ramsey's name on there, and here he is again. Got the 9th place dog here, night champion Buckeye Sarge III. Sarge III was born in June of 1994 and bred by Kurt Seibert and John Walkup out of Buckeye Sarge II and R&W Tree and Sioux, and last owned by Mr. Bud Ramsey down in Georgetown, Indiana. 107 pups, 13 of them made hunt champion. Last litter back in 2001. Bud Ramsey, longtime head of the Birchwood Club down there, and I remember going to the big Tennessee Plott sectional down at the Birchwood Club a couple times, and that was always a fun deal. Sire
of Bud there. And then 2 dogs that are tied for 10th. The dual grand champion King's Tree Talkin' Casey was born in 1968. Wow. Breeder is unknown here. Dual grand champion Trent's Rowdy is the sire, and Swire's Lady is the dam, last owned by Berlin King. 1,082 pups. registered here at UKC off of Tree Talk and Casey. 12 of them are hunt champions.
1968 Grand Night champion, probably a lot of people flocking to him.
I would think so.
Got another one here. This one here, born in the 70s, actually August of 1978, and tying up the end of our top Plott males ever is Dual Grand Sturgill's Tack 2. It was born in August of 78, like I said, out of Grand Night champion Brammer's Timberline Tack and Boland's Tar Heel Ginger. Last owners on file again here, Charles Mays and Larry Everson of Terre Haute, Indiana. 274 pups on the ground, and 12 of them made hunt champion. Last litter on the ground back in 1988.
Pretty cool to see some of these old legend hounds from way back in the day, and then kind of mixed up here with some of the more modern era hounds that are in the same listing here in the top 10. All right, let's take a look at the top males this past year that had dogs to title off of them, starting with 3 pups here. This last year in 2024 was night champion Coons Redwood Okies Hoagie. He was off of Blower's Redwood Okie and Roark's Plum Creek Squall. Jeff Coons, Gloucester, Ohio, is the owner. Those 3 pups now bring his total up to 9. Okies Hokie.
Yeah, you got to think, Edwin, that dog there kind of recent, 3 this past year, 9, so he's 3 off of being on the all-time list. Can he make his way on there?
Maybe. He can.
Second place here, we got a 4-way grand. You got the hunts, the shows, the water race, the field trial. This dog excels in it all. Hall's Late Night Tracker. Dog born in February of 2018 out of Grand Night champion Flatland Hyde and Grand Night champion Harold's Miss T. Owned by Donald Jenkins of Bilton, Virginia. 2 pups finished out this year to at least night champion, making the total 6 for this dog altogether, and for Team Tracker.
Yep, and then we have 13 sires that tied with at least 1 pup that titled here this last year.
Let's head over to the female side of things. Look at the top dams ever as far as the number of hunt champion dogs produced. And the first one here, tied for first, actually, is a dog that we've mentioned a couple times that was part of some of the biggest litters in this breed's history, Grand Night champion Short Ridge's Queen. This dog was born back in May of 1976 out of a litter bred by Daniel Petty's out of Dual Grand Kings, Tree Talkin' Casey and Tree Talkin' Missy. Owner was Charles Shortridge of Muncie, Indiana. And Queen only had 22 pups, but 9 of them made hunt champion. Last litter 1984. Huge impact on the Plott breed.
Tied for first, Grand Night champion Blower's Redwood Josie, born in September of 1997, bred by Danny Ellis off of Buckeye Sarge III and Timber Ridge Mandy, last owned by Evan and Dan Workman of Kimbolton, Ohio. 29 puppies there, 9 of which are hunt champions. Last litter registered in 2006. I can tell you, I have hunted with this female before, and she is a was a hard-treeing Plott female, and I absolutely loved that dog. Evan was hunting with her. I think it was in the World Championship. I might have judged her, hunted against her or something. I think I was judging her back at the time when they still had hunting or non-hunting judges. But that was a nice female right there, Redwood Josie.
Very impressive, very impressive. Got a couple here tied for third. First one, champion Perry Solo Redwood Izzy. Born in March of 2011, bred by Wesley and Gail Good. Izzy is out of night champion Hager's Mingo Redwood Jacob and night champion Harris's Redwood Queen. Last owned by Mr. Lindell Perry over in Buchanan, West Virginia. Izzy, 21 pups on the ground. 8 of them have made hunt champion. Last litter was June of 2021, and actually 3 of them has finished off this year, so she's going to keep climbing this list, I bet.
Tied for third also, hey, this is a quick little dog, just a little dog. Harold's Miss T, a Grand Night champion, but she was quick and fast and with anything that she did. A nice little dog in her own right, born in 2009, bred by Bill Harrell out of Indiana. And she was off a dual grand champion Hager's Mingo Redwood Solid Oak HTX, and the mother was Harold's Penny. Was also obviously owned by Bill Harrow, Peru, Indiana. 31 puppies, 8 hunt champions. Last litter was registered in 2018, but there's a little dog that I really liked, Harold's Miss T.
Fifth place here, we have Grand Night champion Allen's North Georgia Plott Star 2. Born in March of 1992, bred by Wayne Allen. This dog is out of Cybert and Otto Sarge, who we mentioned a little bit ago, and Dual Grand North Georgia Plott Star. Last owned by Wayne Allen and Jim Carter. Wayne is over in Cartersville, Georgia. For Star 2, 46 pups on the ground, 7 of them made hunt champion. Haven't seen a litter out of her since 2001.
Yeah, I remember one of the first times I went to the Winter Classic in Albany, Georgia. I drew Star 2's mother, old Plott Star. Drew her in the cast on the first night out there. And Droop Jr.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I won't go into the details of that cast, but it was entertaining. Let's just say that. Yeah, I always enjoyed old Wayne Allen, too. That's the first time I met him right there, and then I've always enjoyed seeing him now. Tied for 6th, night champion Ballard's Carolina Judy was born in 1972, bred by Daniel Petty's. White Hollow Jr. is the sire. White Hollow Dandy's the mother. Don't have the last owner noted here, but 41 pups, 6 of which are hunt champions. Last litter was registered in 1982.
Also tied here for 6, we got Cedar Creek Sizzlin' Brandy, born in November of 1989, out of the world champion Kansas Sizzlin' Heat and Sizzlin' June. This was a litter bred by Jim Cannon and Spud Reynolds. Brandy was owned by Rex Meinert of Cedarburg, Wisconsin, and out of the 35 pups she put on the ground, 6 of them made hunt champions. And last litter, 1995, so she would have just been 6-year-old, so not sure what happened there, but man, impressive 6 years of her life there.
Yep. Also with 6 title dogs, night champion Rugged Hills Brindle Jazz, born in 2003, bred by Alan Moses from your part of the country in Tennessee. Out of Grand Champion Grand Night Rugged Hills, Tennessee Buckshot, and Raper's Lightning Lucy was owned by Alan Moses, Athens, Tennessee. That was your hometown, actually, was it not?
Born and raised.
There you go. 25 pups, 6 hunt champions. Last litter was registered in June in 2012.
And then we have 8 of them here tied for 9th place with 5 each. So we'll go through these 8 here kind of quick. And man, like I said, these ones born back in the 60s, 70s, even the early 80s, sometimes you got to dig through some records here in the basement. So I apologize for leaving some off of here. But luckily, most of them, I think, have the last names of their owners associated with the dog in some way or the other. We have night champion Weems Plott Susie, who had 5. Wickham's Brindle Sand, who had 5. Grand Night champion Sayer Silver Creek Windy with 5. Remember, all these had 5. Dual Grand Wright's Rowdy Miss Fancy, owned by Mike and Missy Wright of Abingdon, Virginia. Grand Night champion Wright's Rowdy Miss Lady, owned by Brad Bowers of Walton, Indiana. Those must be related there. Grand Night champion R&R's Buckeye Dixie, owned by John Walkup of Victor, West Virginia. Grand Night champion Kyle's Brindle Redwood Dixie, owned by Kyle Emery and Jeff Coons. Kyle's up in Portland, Indiana. And then champion Cody's Good News Sweet Sue, owned by Chris Rochester over in Greenville, South Carolina. One of our first or only Plott Grand Night Champion Hall of Fame dogs came out of that dog, I'm assuming. So
yeah, there you go. All right, well, hey, let's take a look at the top females of this past year, ones that produced champions or title dogs this last year, or that titled this last year, I should say. We have one with 3 pups and 8 total now, and that's going to be champion Perry Solo Redwood Izzy. This dog was born in 2011, sired by Hager's Mingo Redwood Jacob, and the dam is night champion Harris's Redwood Queen. Is owned by Lindell Perry of Buchanan, West Virginia, and I bet this is also probably in his bear pack, I would assume. This dog probably was. I would assume most of them are. And then you have 15 total, or tied with for second with at least 1. So,
and we should probably we've mentioned Lindell Perry, we've mentioned Jeff Coons a couple times. Jake Coons handling a lot of these dogs right now, put a lot of the wins on these Redwood dogs we're seeing in here.
Yeah,
hey, shout out to all these Plotts, man. Like I said, the numbers on here can be a little bit skewed because a lot of people use them for bear, hogs, other big game. But, man, as you can see, a couple of them have some pretty impressive numbers and percentages, and hope you guys enjoyed that run through the Plott breed. Alan, you've been feeding Eukanuba dog feed for a while now. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I have, and I've really been able to put my beagles to the test, mainly running snowshoe hare up north where they run the hardest, where I put 15, 20, 25 miles on them easily in a day. And I've found that the premium performance sport has really paid dividends. Mainly, I noticed their stamina.
Yeah, same feed that I've been feeding. I think my dog looks good on it. He's really feeling good, and less kennel cleanup for me, so I highly recommend it as well.
Eukanuba, the official performance dog nutrition partner of UKC.
All right, let's shift gears now to our English Coonhounds, and we're first going to take a look at our top males ever. And remember, no parameters here. These are just the dogs with the most hunt champions ever produced. in this case sired by any males. And our first one here is actually I call him an outlier when you look at all the list of top reproducers ever when it comes to pups produced here, with 3,172 pups produced. This is a number that you only see in the Walker breed outside of this one dog, and this is Grand Night champion Michigan Swamp Rooster. Swamp Rooster born back in October of 1991, bred by Walt and Gary Raffle. And Swamp Rooster was out of Grand Night champion Noose River Rambo, and Grand Night champion Raffles Billy Joe, and was last owned by Morris Tart out of North Carolina. There's a couple different owners I know that are synonymous with this dog. Morris was the last one we have on record. Out of those 3,000 plus pups, 3,170 pups, 215 of them made hunt champion, which puts him almost 100 over the next dog. His last litter was back in May of 2003, so it doesn't look like there was any semen. If there is, they haven't used it any, but man, what's some kind of mind-boggling numbers there for Swamp Rooster.
Yeah. Paul Taylor was one of those owners up here in Michigan, and hunted a lot of. I never hunted with Rooster before, but I started hunting at that time, about the time during Rooster's time or what have you, and but I never got to hunt with him. I hunted with some of his offspring and some other dogs like that, but always wished I could have hunted with him. Second overall, Main Street Jack. He's a Grand Night champion, born in May of 2005, bred by Robert Lady out of Grand Night champion, Grand Champion Main Street Roy, a dog out of Kentucky. Night champion Lattes, I guess I'm pronouncing that correctly. Black Eye Bell was last owned by Asa Briggs up here, junior of Morley, Michigan. 654 pups, 117 hunt champions. Wow. Last litter was registered in October of 2022, but yeah, Main Street Jack is a name he's made a name for himself. I remember when he was, he was very young. He was at Redbone Days one year in Ohio, and my brother drew out with him. It was just down to those two, and Paul came back from the cast, and he said, I want to say he was only 11, 12, 13 months old at the time, and Paul said, this dog's he called him a freak. He said, that dog's for real. Yeah. Talking about Main Street Jack.
Yeah. Actually, two title dogs this year, as we see last litter in 2022. So he can keep adding to that already really impressive percentage. That's what's mind-blowing to me, that percentage there.
Yeah, absolutely. And Asa, the guys that know Asa know he's up here mid-Michigan, really, and so he likes to cat hunt, too. Yeah. And talking about bobcats, and he has to go on up north a little bit, on north into Michigan. I think most of his dogs, he also cat hunts with, and I think Jack was one of them.
Let's move on to third place now. Grand Night champion Beck's Pithole Creek Huckabuck, a dog born back in November of 1995, bred by David Minson out of Grand Night champion Briar Creek Snake and Grand Night champion Cabin Creek Puckin, last owned by Jim Ridge, Lewis, Indiana, one of his top stud dogs here. 906 pups on the ground, 107 of them made hunt champion. His last litter was all the way back in July of 2007.
Yeah, the fourth place is still going to break that 100 pup barrier there, and that's going to be Grand Night champion Hayes' Hard Time Spec. This dog was born in August of 1973. Hayes' Hard Time Spec. He's one of the most well-known dogs in the English breed. At one time was actually registered as a trained walker. Mm-hmm. But he was off of a dog named Weddington's Duke King and Night Champion Dot Spot. Last owner is shown as unknown here, but 1,244 pups off of a Hard Time Spec, 101 hunt champions. And last litter here, you have question marks there noted, so I guess you don't know when that was, but it's probably been a while.
Yeah, some of our online records, like I said, that system, I think it was made in 1988, so when we talk about a dog born in 1973, I would have probably had to go through some paper records down here, and I did not.
Yep, very influential in the English breed for sure. Hayes' Hard Time Spec.
Yeah, I got to think Calvin Hayes is a name you hear here a lot. So.
Yeah.
Fifth place here, Night Champion Woodstock Grizzly. Another, and this is a common theme for me as I'm going through here. In the early to mid 90s is kind of like a heyday for dogs on these historical lists. But we have Night Champion Woodstock Grizzly, born in November of 1991, bred by Steve Allen. Grizzly was out of Woodstock Goober and Woodstock Ruby Lou, and was last owned by Jerry Sutton of Newport, Tennessee. Grizzly, man, 1,583 pups on the ground, so had a pile of pups on the ground. 86 of them made hunt champion. His last litter, June of 2021, so yeah, just kind of recent. Four-year-old litter.
There you go. Must have some semen somewhere on him. Briar Creek Zeb, that's a Grand Night champion. He's next up on our list, 6th overall. He was born in February of 2002, bred by Mr. John Ferrari and L.L. Wilcox. That'd be Larry Wilcox. John is from Iowa, and Larry's from over here in not far from the UKC office in Paw Paw, Michigan. This dog was off of Grand Night champion Beck's Pit Hole Creek Huckabuck, and the mother is Grand Night champion Timber Valley 10. This dog was also last owned by Jim Ridge, Chris Girth of Lewis, Indiana. 628 pups for Zeb, 84 of which are hunt champions to date. Last litter was just was registered back in August of 2013. Briar Creek Zeb.
Yeah, we've already seen Huckabuck. Now we see Zeb out of Huckabuck, and you notice both of them. They didn't have litters. They seems like. Jim, he was ready to move on to the next sire. He's one of those types, and it's worked out well for that Briar Creek strain. 7th place here, we have Grand Night champion Smith's Hard Time Rocky. Dog is born in June of 1984 and bred by David Riff out of Night Champion Riff's Sandy Creek Rock and Night Champion Riff's Hard Time Sally. Last owned by Mr. Richard Moore up in New York. I have East Elmhurst here. 653 pups on the ground for Rocky, 83 of them which championed out in our hunting events. Last litter, September of 2006.
Yeah, back in the heyday of the Purina series, Hard Time Rocky was one of those that was right in the thick of things a lot of times for a bunch of years. 8th place, Grand Night champion Hard Time Awesome. That's a name we hear quite a bit too. Born in July of 2007, bred by Stephen Allen Bruner. Off of Grand Night champion Hard Time Swamp Cat, and Roaring River Spook Sweet Sugar was the mother. Last owned by Jason Bullard of Adel, Georgia. 508 pups off of Awesome, and 79 of which are hunt champions. Last litter was just registered this last year in March. Yeah. So his numbers are probably going to keep increasing. He's got probably got a good shot at hitting that 100 pup mark.
Yeah, you see five
champions.
5 titled dogs this past year, so how high can he climb?
Yep.
9th place, we have actually his sire, a Grand Night champion, Hard Time Swamp Cat, born in September of 1997 out of a litter bred by Carter and Joe Long when they crossed Grand Night champion Ball's Virginia Swamp Rooster on Grand Night champion Long's Hard Time Kim. Last owned again, Richard Moore, this time a Queens, New York address. I think that one may be more up to speed. 442 pups here for Swamp Cat, 75 of which made hunt champion. Last litter back in August of 2010.
One dog that I got to see go at Autumn Oaks one time. I always wanted to see him go, and only saw it one time, went and spectated him. Wilcox's Thunder St. Nick, born in December of 1993, bred by Larry Wilcox, Paw Paw, Michigan. Off of Grand Night champion, Grand Champion Wilcox's Thunder Bingo, and Grand Night champion Blue Magic Gold. Was last owned by Larry Wilcox. 614 pups off of him, 71 of which are hunt champions. Last litter was registered in 2016. Wilcox's Thunder St. Nick. He was that night I saw him. I could tell that night why he was a big name in the English breed.
Yeah.
He wasn't, I wouldn't call him flashy or anything, but he was just all coon dog, all business, and just going out there treeing coons.
Yeah. And last year when we did this reproducers, we realized that St. Nick came from this dog being born actually on Christmas Day. So a pretty good Christmas present there for Larry back in 1993.
And he's had a lot of good ones, a lot of good breeding program over there.
Absolutely. Well, is there anybody that can catch them? Let's take a look at some of our top males of this past year, and we're looking at dogs who sired the most hounds who titled in our hunting events during the year of 2024. And first on that list for us is Grand Night Champion Hall of Fame Heat Seeker Unleash the Kraken. Kraken still relatively young, born in April of 2019, and he was out of Grand Night Champion 4 Main Street Blue and Grand Night Champion Poplar Run Ruthless, owned by Grant Whitmer up in New York and Trevor Hack over in Ohio. He was able to add 12 dogs to his tally this year to make a total for 21, and he's still pretty young yet. He may be one that could make a run at this thing.
Yeah, and he's quite the hound. You know, I'm sure he doesn't have he's not on top of his game every night. But there's a recording. You can go to YouTube and find a recording that they did with him out on a hunt one night, and he puts on a show just by himself.
Yeah. Clayton Stark's page.
You can see Unleash the Kraken, and man, you can't deny that. He's just out there almost like a machine. Look good doing it. Sounds good. Everything. Second place overall, Grand Night Champion Shorts Loudmouth Jr. He was a 2010 model sired by Night Champion Hammond's McNutt Creek Bullet, and the mother was Night Champion Shorts Loudmouth Bell. Alan Short is the owner out of Watkinsville, Georgia. 7 puppies this last year. That brings it up to 33 now.
Got a couple here tied for third place, and kind of one on the rise and one that's probably nearing the end. And the first one we'll look at here, Grand Night Champion 2, Champion K's Blue John Bathis, a name that's been around for a while now, producing good dogs. Born in April of 2011 out of Grand Night Champion Red Ruby Hard Time Hoss HTX and Grand Night Champion Red Lady. Last owned by Eddie Lemon and Greg Pyatt. Eddie's over in Nitro, West Virginia. He added 6 pups to his tally this year to bring his total to 49, and he's in quite a few of the winning English hound pedigrees that we see today.
Yeah, here's the next one. Is one we hear the name quite often in recent years. Grand Night Champion 3, Hard Time Cooper. He was a 2016 model sired by Red Ruby Hard Time Buck and Moss's Hard Time Lucy, both of them Grand Nights. This dog is owned by Kyle Stoops up in the far northeast Winterport, Maine. He had 6 offspring this year to title. That brings his total up to 14 for Hard Time Cooper.
Another up and riser. It wouldn't surprise me to see him add quite a few. And fifth place, we've already talked about this dog on the overall historical list there. Grand Night Champion Hard Time Awesome. As we know, he added 5 pups to his total this year. To make it 79 total. How high can he climb? We'll see. Hard Time Awesome again out of Swamp Cat and Spook's Sweet Sugar. Jason Bullard of Adele, Georgia. He's making his presence felt on these lists.
Yep. All right, ready to move over to some females?
Yeah, let's talk females.
Well, hey, the first one we're going to talk about is one we talked about last year. I remember a little bit, and it's the Treeing Walkers have some impressive. We'll get to them eventually here, but you're going to see what I'm talking about. There's some impressive stats, I guess, so to speak. And there's probably only one in another breed that comes close to some of those stats. That's just way up there, and that's this first dog, Reagan's Hatchie River Dottie, Grand Night Champion Reagan's Hatchie River Dottie. Born in July of 2009, bred by Dennis Fitzgerald. She is off of Grand Night Champion Reagan's Rebel Thunder, and Grand Night Champion Country Hollow Freebie was last owned by Murray Reagan of Jackson, Tennessee. Listen to this, 60 total pups. Over half of them, 32, are hunt-titled dogs, hunt champions. Last litter was registered in March of 2018. She tops the list probably pretty easily here, Hatchie River Dottie.
Impressive resume for Dottie and Murray, something to be proud of. Be hard to ever catch that one. We'll take a look in here, see if there's any prospects of anybody who could get in that range. I got a couple here tied for second. First one will be Grand Night Champion, Grand Champion Gullett's Oakwoods Diamond. A dog that was born back in November of 2003 and bred by Bobby Jeanette out of Night Champion Oakwoods Sunkissed and Gold Nugget Kate. Alan Gullett of Perry, Arkansas was the last owner on record. She put 53 pups on the ground. 21 of them made hunt champion, and she hasn't had a litter since 2011.
Also impressive.
Absolutely.
Also tied for second there, born in March of 2005, a Grand Night Champion Red Lady was bred by Gary Kay. She is sired by Night Champion Murphy's Little Hill Luke, and Kay's Annie is the dam. Was last owned by Eddie Lemon of Nitro, West Virginia. 33 pups total, 21 of those 33. That's pretty good percentage right there. Very good percentage. Last litter was registered in 2012. Talking about Red Lady.
Moving on to fourth here, we got kind of a current one that you'll see on our current lists, reproducers list, is Dual Grand Coon Valley Wild Skeeter. She was born in February of 2012 out of a litter bred by David Martin. Sire was Grand Night Champion Cow's Big River Jesse Lee, and the dam was Grand Champion American Outlaws Wild Dog. Skeeter owned by Dale and Devin Olson of Lawton, Iowa, and 64 pups on the ground, 18 have made hunt champion, including 2 this past year, so she's been adding to that tally. Last litter, June of 2023, so there could still be some more floating up there, and we could see her climb this list a little bit. We'll see.
Yeah, so the next we have several here that are tied for 5th, I think 3 of them actually. So let's start with Grand Night Champion, Grand Champion Timber Valley Lucky. Was born in September of 1992, bred by John Ferrari up in Iowa. And she is off of Wilcox's Thunder Bingo. That's a dual. He was a dual grand. He was the sire of St. Nick that we talked about a little while ago. And the mother is, again, Grand Night Champion Blue Magic Gold. So Lucky would have been off of that same cross right there. Last owned by John Ferrari and Larry Wilcox. 36 total pups for Lucky, 17 titled. Last litter was registered in 2001.
Also tied for 5th there, we got champion, Grand Night Champion, Moore's All Grand Kate. Born in August of 1999, bred by Russell Shamblin. Kate is out of Dual Grand Neshoba Valley Roller and Grand Night Champion Sandy Creek Copper. Last owned by Donald Myers of Reynoldsville, West Virginia. Out of the 40 pups she put on the ground, 17 of them made hunt champion, with the last litter being back in 2008.
Also with 17 hunt champions to date is Grand Night Champion, Grand Champion Cedar Ridge Battle Cry, born in December of 2002, bred by Jonathan Thomas, off a dual Grand Champion Cedar Ridge Redman and a dual Grand Cedar Ridge Cry. Was last owned by Jonathan Thomas of Webster City, Iowa. 39 total pups and 17 hunt champions. Last litter registered in 2012.
This next one here, we got an oldie but a goodie. We got Grand Night Champion, Grand Champion Indian Creek Wendy. She was born in May of 1977 out of a cross between Little River Pepper and Deepwood Queen. And this is incredible. 101 pups on the ground for a female is got to be close to a record. 16 hunt champions. Last litter back in 1987. I actually went through and looked at her litter whenever I was putting these together because that 101 pups caught me off guard. She actually had 11 litters in her lifetime and averaged 9.2 pups per litter.
And that's crazy because, look, she's a dual grand on top of it. So not only was she raising pups, she was also competing.
Yeah. And
she was competing at a time when it was not easy to put titles on dogs. The criteria was kind of out there and competing against a lot of dogs. But yeah, dual grand Indian Creek Wendy. Pretty impressive. All right, tied for 9th. The last 2 dogs here on our list. Grand Night Champion Northridge Willie's JoJo, born in January of 1991, bred by Dennis Steinhauser. I think he was, up in Kansas maybe? Yeah. Somewhere out in there, out west. Out of Grand Night Champion Northridge Reds Willie, and Northridge Little Tess was the mother. 25 pups. She was also owned by Dennis Steinhauser. 25 pups total. 15 of those 25 are title dogs. Last litter registered 1999. Pretty impressive. Willie's JoJo.
Looks like Davie, Nebraska, maybe.
Yep. Nebraska, that's it. Not Kansas, Nebraska. Yep.
Get to home with Dennis in the Final Four of the 2019 World Championship with his Bonnie female.
Yep.
Also tied for 9th here and rounding out the list of the top English females of all time based on hunt champions produced, we have Grand Night Champion Pithole Creek Sissy, a dog born in November of 2003 out of a litter bred by Doug Stamper and Ron Beck, again, out of Beck's Pithole Creek Huckabuck and Briar Creek Missy. Last owner on record was Doug Stamper, Hymera, Indiana. Out of the 59 pups she put on the ground, 15 of them made hunt champion, and her last litter was in May of 2012.
So there you go. That's a wrap for the top females ever, English females. So let's look, English females. Let's take a look at last year's top females in terms of the most pups that titled just this last year.
Yeah.
First on the list, Grand Night Champion Pope's Green River Raven. She was a 2018 model off a Tough Blue Diesel and Pope's Green River Pepper. Kyle Stoops up in Winterport, Maine is the owner of 3 pups titled this last year. That's her first 3 on her resume. Green River Raven.
And boy, we have a bunch of them here tied for second with 2 each this year. So maybe we abbreviate them a little bit. But the first one, Dual Grand Coon Valley Wild Skeeter. We talked about her a little bit up top already, a 2012 out of Jesse Lee, and a wild dog, the dog up there owned by Dale and Devin Olson of Lawton, Iowa. 2 pups this year, brought her total up to 18, so she's climbing up the ranks.
Grand Night Champion 2 Heat Seeker Mini Monster 2019 model off of Main Street Wild Crow and Picosa Creek Pay the Piper. Grant Whitmer and Thomas Miller of Fort Ann, New York. 2 pups brings her up to 6.
Yeah. Next, we have Oakwoods Flow, a 2016 female out of Red Ruby Hard Time Crow and Coon Valley Wild Skeeter, who again just talked about, owned by Grant Whitmer. He's piling up the nice females. He's got Utah addresses. He's got New York addresses. He's got 2 pups titled out of Flow this year for 5 total.
Night Champion State Line Miss Stella was a 2016 model off of Main Street Radar, and Taylor's Daisy 2. Jason Farrell is listed as the owner. He's from Perrysville, Indiana. 2 pups brings her to 4 total now, Miss Stella.
Again here, we got another one with 2 pups this year and 4 total, and this is Phillips Mouthy Maddie May. December 2015 model female out of Dual Grand Louis Swamp Icon and Dual Grand Sinking Creek Sissy May, owned by Tanner Phillips of Castlewood, Virginia.
Grand Night Champion Reagan's Hatchie River JoJo is off of Kay's Blue John the Bathurst. We talked about him a little while ago. She's a 2017 model, and the mother is Reagan's Hatchie River Dottie. There's one of those high-producing females. Their mother is. Hatchie River JoJo is one of those. Murray Reagan, Jackson, Tennessee is the owner. She now has 4 total with the 2 after the 2 from last year. 4 total for JoJo now.
I might butcher this next one. Big River Jesse Lehigh? Maybe. Born in May of 2017 out of Cowles Big River Jesse Who and Big River Jacqueline, owned by Adam Keller over in Effingham, Kansas. 2 titled dogs this year, makes it 4 total for Lehigh.
Grand Night Champion 2 River Bottoms Baby D was a 2015 model sired by River Bottoms Crackerjack. He's a dog out of Texas. Mother was Champion Night Champion Brady Creek Tree Slammin' Sadie. Ronnie Rister of Anson, Texas is the owner. She now has 3 total with those after those 2 from 2024.
Next, we got Night Champion Hall's Wild Child Ready, July 2017 model out of Grand Night Champion Mr. Wild Child Uncle Joe and Schaefer's Stinkin' Creek Rebel, owned by Randy Hall and Tyson McCumber. Randy's over in Castleton, Illinois. Ready 2 this year, 3 total again.
Gossett's LV Patsy was born in 2018. She's off of Red Ruby Hard Time Buck and Mossy Creek Oak Rose was her mother. Herschel Gossett, the second of Aurora, Indiana, is the owner. She also now has 3 total with the 2 from 2024.
And we're getting near the end of the list here. We got 2 more to go. Got Grand Night Champion Morris's Elk Creek Monster. Born in June of 2015, and a dog we've mentioned a couple times as a sire of some of these good dams here. Grand Night Champion Red Ruby Hard Time Crow and Morris's Elk Creek Missy. Scott Morris of Middleton, Ohio, the owner here. 2 this year, 2 total.
And a Georgia dog, Shorts Delta Dawn, was born in 2019 off of Tree Knockin' Super Boom and Nestor's Baby Dawn. Alan Short, Watkinsville, Georgia. She had her first 2 pups to title out this last year. Shorts Delta Dawn.
And that puts a bow on our English breed. Some really impressive numbers there for the English breed. Hey, Alan, I don't know if you've been messing around with this new Houndsman Advantage app at all, but I've been playing with it some, and it has some really cool features on it. One, it has the interactive scorecard view where you can assign strike and tree points at the touch of a button, and it automatically totals your scores after each set of points are scored and valued.
Yeah, no, I like it as well. Some of the features that I like is that you can access the rules and that it comes with a search function to easily find any specific rule. Also like that there's a place for your dog's registration numbers, and you can store pictures of your easy entry cards. I like that you can track 2 dogs' performances when out pleasure hunting. You'll find some analytics on your dogs. You can record their accuracy, win percentages, and a whole lot of things like that.
No more lying here on this app. The last thing about the scorecard I'll talk about is it has the summary view as well, where you can see the total points you have and the pending points that you have, along with tree timers for each dog. So it's going to come in handy for judges as well. So check it all out on the new Houndsman Advantage app.
Thank you for listening to the UKC Hunting Ops Podcast. Be sure to give us a follow so you don't miss any of our new episodes or content.